Grand rising, everyone. Natalie coming to live. Spirit and coffee. Got my coffee here. It's so yum. Okay, so we're supposed to have a guest on today, and hopefully she will show up soon. And she's going to be doing live on Facebook. So if you guys want to check that out, you can go to Spirit and Coffee Talk, and you could take a look at that live video. Or you can just, of course, stay on here, which is through the Podbean um, or through the podcast live. So, good morning. How are you? Good. It's good to see you on here. So, do I call you poetic here? um, and good morning, Betty. Good morning, everybody. So, yeah, it's been some time since I've been on. I kind of been on hiatus. I think that these past couple of years have been kind of a whirlwind of crazy. I'm trying to figure out what my next move is. And it's kind of interesting because I don't think anybody kind of knows right now, right? And nobody really kind of understands what the transition is going to be because we just don't know. Humanity itself doesn't even know what's going on. Okay. And it's a weird time for everybody. And that's okay. It's actually normal to feel this way because nobody knows. Even science can't explain what's going on. Nobody can. And so I always tell people if people tell you they know, run the opposite direction because they have no clue. And neither do I and the rest of the world. So we're all just trying to figure out what is the next phase. Now, it's going to be critical for us to learn to claim what our next phase is. What does that mean? How do we start to reclaim what is next for our life? And that's important. And here's the deal: if we don't claim what is ours in this next phase, somebody else is wants to be in your video. Oh, somebody else, Betty, do you want to be in my video? I don't know if you did that on purpose. Somebody else is going to dictate to us what is next. Okay. And so we're really trying to say, okay, so how do I take a grip into what is next for me? And so that is why I am we have to take back our power. Absolutely. What is our power? That's the question. Um and that's the big thing. So having people come on here, I'm in a great program, as you guys know, consciousness and transformative studies, where I have a group of individuals who are doing the great work, and we all understand that there's not a one particular narrative that's sort of dictating where we should go next. um, People are looking for the narrative, and we have people going back to the mystics to describe what is happening in the world, and they're like, oh, what they were saying is correct. And so science is now seeking the words, or the expression or the storytelling that was given to us ages ago, because storytelling is part of our existence, and being in the dream world is part of that narrative and that story that we all have. So with these individuals that I'm in class with or whatnot, I have invited them to come because they are all trying to create a narrative, or to understand the narrative, or to reincorporate narratives or old narratives. The storyteller, right, basically is what's needed. Visioning, and we need people to be innovative and to be able to connect to the storyline. Well, we don't really have a story at this point, and I think that's where things are going kind of crazy wonky, right? Good morning, Dennis Baker. How are you? Radio projects. It's been a while. And so hopefully Riley will show up. She says she's ready. She just needs to get on here. I don't know what she's doing. That's hilarious. And um, hopefully she will get on here. I don't know what she's doing. Let's see if I can change real quick to this and just tell her you have to get on. Okay, guys. I don't know what she's doing. And I do test runs, but I maybe come up with a better way to um, have guests on here because I think with Podbean, it's pretty simple for those who are Podbean listeners and know how to call in. But for someone who's a guest and is not on Podbean, it tends to be kind of difficult to get them all set up to do this for some reason. And then to be a guest, you have to be on your phone. So who knows, maybe another platform or something. I do know that as we are transitioning into this new phase, that the things have to change, right? Nothing stays the same. And if we continue to stay stagnant and not moving, we don't grow and we start to corrode. And that's why change is so important and transformation is so important. But is it easy? No, it's not, right? I say this all the time. It's not easy to shift and change. We want to hold on to the old and things just are not going to go back to the same. It's just not. We're moving in a different direction. And we, like as Poetic was saying, got to reclaim our power. How do we do that? What does that even mean? What is our power? And it's really understanding who you are, and what we went through for these past couple years is really a spiritual battle to really reignite the internal essence of who you are. Okay. So the internal essence of who you are, right, is that internal um it's like they call it the acorn theory, which is what I like. And James Hillman, I kind of like his work and I think I'm going to start springing off his work. I don't really follow many people. Sometimes I see their work is doesn't really align, but his I feel aligns with how I kind of see the world, which is it's an acorn. The seed was already planted, the seed was already there, and that seed is just longing to sprout and come out. And the conditioning of society has not allowed us to do that. Well, now we're at a place where people are starting to remember, right? They're starting to recognize their seed. They're starting to recognize the essence that lives within them. And it's like almost painful not to go in the direction that you want to now. And we can see that happening. People don't want to go back to the 9 to 5. People are tired of living in this, mechanistic, mechanical world, knowing that there's something more in them, that they have more potential than just, the grind. Get up and grind and then go home. There's something more there, right? They fed us, they spoon fed us. I always say that backwards. Spoon fed us, this mechanistic worldview that doesn't really align with the human potential. It doesn't align with it, but they don't want your full potential to be recognized because then you wouldn't be a machine in their wheel. You would just, you're another cog in the wheel. We all are. And we are making this big machine work, but we're not machines and we're realizing that. And I think that's what happened, for the last couple of years is that, we are no longer in that. So Riley, you have to go. Sorry about this, you guys. So maybe she'll figure it out. If not, we'll have her on another day. Because some people are not 100% up on the technology piece. But I've been off trying to discover and rediscover who am I, what's inherently inside of me that I want to create. It's different. It's going to show up different. It's not the same. I'm not the same. And, when I started Spirit and Coffee, I was a different person. And now I'm something different, right? And I've evolved into something different. Now, the internal essence or the acorn theory is that the essence and the potential has always been there. It's always been inherently in me. And it's just been ready to sprout. Now, what does that really mean? Because we feel like we're living authentically. I've always said I live authentically, and I do. I follow my essence. I follow what God tells me to do, and it leads me on these crazy journeys. But now I've kind of peeled back the layers, right? Even more. And then when the pandemic hit and all the chaos and all the whatever you want to call murk started to stir up within family dynamics and everything like that, you start to re-question how true to yourself have you been? How authentic have you been to your internal being? And let's see, Riley. No, I don't see you in here. So, how true have you been? Good morning, Night Fair. Hey, Rock. And that's the question. I don't know. How true have you guys been? I mean, you guys can answer or not answer, but how true have you been to your authentic internal self? Have you stayed true to it or not? And what are you finding out about yourself now that things have sort of calmed down? Like the storm has kind of passed, right? Well, there's still kind of this, they're still trying to muster up more storms, right? And all these diseases and all this stuff, it's part of life. And we know that. But now that all this is stirring up and maybe you started to disconnect from your family, maybe you've had some issues with friends that you absolutely love and now you guys aren't I don't know, things have changed, right? The dynamics of friendships, of relationships, of um work environments, everything has started to shift. I have always been true, a lot of people are fake. And yeah, and what I mean by true though is not that people are fake or that you're not fake. I'm saying being true to the essence, to your calling, to who you are authentically and what you want to do in life and how that seed wants to sprout forward. Okay? So being what I'm saying is yes, you could be authentic, but I'm talking about that deeper essence of who you are. So this goes back to like when you were a child. What did you want to be? Who did you want to be? What was it that your essence was calling forth? And have you stood true to that? Well, it's kind of hard, right? In a world that tells you that you have to work 9 to 5. So have you really, right? I wanted to be an architect. Okay. And did you become an architect? So that's the question. No. Okay. And do you still have that calling to be an architect or has that changed? Like what is the internal essence that's within you that's calling forth? Um so yeah, Riley doesn't know what she's doing. I don't see you. So, what is it that's calling forth? And those are questions. Become a mechanic for 15 years. Now I'm a food salesman. Okay. But is that what you wanted to do? Is that what's your internal? Like, are you enjoying that part of your life? Or is it just what you had to do because you needed to survive? And that's kind of what I'm talking about. Not necessarily being authentically true with who you are internally, but what you wanted to do, what your soul um, is calling forth. Okay. What your soul is asking for to come forth. To a sense, I've always wanted to be an astronaut, an explorer. I didn't get to space, but I explored Earth and Canadian soldier. Oh, that's awesome. Really enjoy my job. It's very free moving. I can't complain. Okay, so there you go. Now that's good. If there's gratitude for what you do. Now we're at the point where it's like, what is your internal essence calling forth? And it doesn't have to be something that changes your full career, right? Some people do that. Some people let it all go. I'm the kind of person who lets it all go and reinvents myself. Okay. I do that because my soul, I put my soul first. Is it scary? Hell yeah, it's scary. And in fact, this part of my life has been probably, I think, the scariest because I don't know. I don't fully know where the hell I'm headed. And I think that people just don't know at this point. So, um, so I think that that's it. Let's see, what did you get on my live? So I was supposed to have a guest on here, but I don't think she knows how to get on here. Oh, I need to get a better, if you guys know a better way to get guests on here and a better app that I can use, let me know because it has been so hard and a challenge to get people to come on here. It's I don't know why. Um You're watching it right now? Okay, Riley. Let's see. That's so weird. Try to get off. Riley, if you're on here, share it through IG. I know I'm sharing through Facebook Live. I should probably start just doing Instagram Live, Discord, and streams. Okay. Maybe one of you guys, if you want to email me, would be awesome. Spiritandbrew@gmail.com. And then I've tried to join like I found times and it says request sent, but maybe it's not working. Okay. Are you on your phone? Okay. Uh, I think she has to do it on her phone. Oh, okay. Yes. She's like, I'm watching you now. Okay. Get off Riley and get back on. Try, I don't know, try it. If we don't get it today, we can do it another day. I'm so sorry. And she's in actually, um, Podbean has been dying out lately. Oh, has it? Okay. It's gotten too dark in here lately. So tell me what you mean by Podbean has been dying out. I'd like to know, so that I can start shifting and changing and reconstructing. I'm always open for, a reconstruction. And I think that's what Spirit and Coffee needs right now, overhaul, something new, and something, I don't know. I'm not a podcast expert and I never have been. And I just get on here and just talk and whoever listens, like the message is there and if they get it, they get it. Is a good show. I'm no, not what shows are good. I'm asking like what platforms. What platforms uh to use that I can transition through or to. Okay, so so let's get back to the essence and the eight chord theory, which tells you that you yourself can then start to evolve from that true core essence of who you are. How do you yourself start to blossom out into that calling, the thing that always, that potential that has always been there, the thing inside of you that has always wanted to grow and sprout? Well, we're at that time where that's possible. And we're at that time where we can do that. And it's kind of exciting, but it does take, us being brave and courageous to let go of the old narrative, which is kind of scary. It is not easy to let go of what's comfortable. It's not easy to let go of what we know works, but we can't grow. The potentiality of us cannot grow until we actually let that go. It just won't happen. It's almost like a so if we looked at the acorn theory and we saw that we ourselves we're like an oak tree that, the seed of potentiality to be an oak tree is always there. It's always been inside of us. But in order to make it sprout, what needs to happen? In order for us to grow, what needs to happen? How do we make that grow inside of us? The potentiality is there. Well, it does take us letting go of the things that are not watering it and serving it and allowing it to grow. And then sometimes it starts to sprout and grow, but then maybe we're in a pot that's too small and we need to grow. That's the scary part, is that we start to sprout, we start to grow, then we get comfortable and we don't want to let go because we're afraid, oh, we've built this little tiny nest egg. Now what? If I let that go, then what's going to happen? Well, we can't grow unless we let it go. You've got to go into a bigger pot so that your full potential can spring forth. And that's true for everyone. It's almost like a level up. I would say an expansion more than a level up. I kind of don't like talking about, I mean, I don't like saying levels because it implies that there's people beneath and above, and people I think misconstrue or misuse that levels. But I would say it expands. It allows us to expand and it allows us to grow roots that are deeper and it allows us to spread our roots, right? So that we can start to grow and that way we can get tall and that way we can start to sprout fruit and yield fruit. But if we don't do that, we drown out and then the fruit, we never yield the fruit within us. So understanding that, somebody said astronaut, someone said an architect, someone said, but how is that being played out? Is it something that's still inherently inside of you? And is it actually sprouting out in the way that you want? So it's digging deeper and peeling back the layers. Riley, are you still on here? I don't know if she's still on here. Uh, which is kind of sad because I wanted Riley to get on here. She's amazing, by the way. I'm in the class with her, and she does like a wild woman. Um, that's her thing, wild women, and helping women reconnect to their wild side, which I think is needed as well. So we have all of these narratives going on. You see there are almost too many narratives, and nobody knows which narrative to cling on to. But because nobody really knows what's going on, we have the narrative of women reclaiming their power. We have the narrative of people telling women what to do with their bodies. We have other people. I see you, Riley. There you are. Okay, so I see you now. Can you request to come on now? We have the narrative of individuals telling people what they should or shouldn't do with their bodies. We and this is in America. Not I'm not talking about anywhere else as of now, but in the West, we have the narrative of you know what's next in terms of the economy, because we know the economy's failing. We have the narrative of Riley requested. Okay, let's see. Riley, there you go. I got you. Add. Boom. Okay, we're adding Riley on. And the narrative of, the woman, I think is a big, big one. And perfect timing. Hi. Oh my God. Can you hear me?
I can, yeah. It's just doing like a weird playback thing, so that's why I was like trying to not really say anything.
Oh, okay. So you're hearing an echo?
Yeah, hearing an echo.
Oh, okay. Well, why don't you just go ahead and take it over? Let me just say a few things. I was talking about the wild woman, as you know, just going on and on and on. I'm like, let's get Riley on here, where I just talk everybody's ear off, which I know how to do anyway. Um, but so what? Introduce yourself. You could talk about your company, and then just tell us a little bit about what you're up to and where you're at.
Okay. Okay, the echo's done. Okay. So, hi everybody. Natalie, I want to thank you for having me on. I'm happy that I got connected. So, okay, this is so weird. The echo is like, it just keeps going and going, so it's like hard for me to talk. But I'll try my best. Okay, anyways,
Do you want to?
take my headphones out.
Yeah, I was gonna say, take your headphones out. Let's see if that.
Yeah, I don't know why he keeps doing that, but it's like talking while I'm trying to talk, so it's like talking over myself. Okay, here we go. So, yeah, thank you for having me on, and my name is Riley. I'm glad to finally be connected with you guys. So yeah, I live on the big island of Hawaii, or the land of the native Hawaiian people. I live on the big island, and I've been here for about 2.5 years, and I'm in the consciousness and transformation program with Natalie. So yeah, right now I mainly help women just connect with their wild and true selves through my coaching programs. I'm going to be offering human design readings soon. And then I also do some energy work. So I do Reiki as well. But those are kind of just like the healing modalities that I do. Oh, and then self-love workshops. I'm just really into like anything healing and spiritual, and just really like helping women. And if you're a woman watching now, just like helping you connect back to your intuitive self, and like that wild part of you that maybe was tamed by society at one point or another. Just because, I feel like for like the healing of our planet, it's super, super important for us women to really like reclaim our sovereignty over ourselves and our lives and our power. Because we kind of see like a lot of like masculine energy out in the world right now. It's like that fiery energy that's like super powerful and that's just like taking over. And so it's like really important for me to like bring those energies back into balance. I think we talked about that, Natalie, at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And I really feel like that starts with the feminine. It starts with us like reclaiming who we are and like our passions and our gifts and the ability to like make decisions for ourselves and like not feel guilty about that. Um, the ability to like reclaim power over our body and what we want to do with our bodies and feeling free to express ourselves and our creativity. And I also know, Natalie, that's something that you've been kind of working with as well. So yeah, like that's kind of like the small tip of the iceberg, I guess, of what I do. But it's just, yeah, it's like my passion, and I love helping women. I love guiding women. Basically, it's like I'm guiding you, but like I'm giving you the tools to like be able to like guide yourself for the rest of your life. Because I feel like a real true healer is somebody that like gives you your power. It's not somebody that's like taking your power away. And that's like something else I could go into, but I'm not going to for time's sake. But like I think we see that a lot in the spiritual community. Maybe Natalie, you can comment on that. But just like spiritual leaders or like gurus, kind of trying to, I think, like take the power away from other people, and it's just like another kind of symptom of the system that we're working in. And so like that's something that I really, really try to kind of bring into all of my programs. It's just like you're your own leader. And like it's best for you every step of the way.
Yeah.
So I hope that this is coming in clear and the echo isn't being weird. But yeah, that's kind of like, yeah, just a small little thing of what I do.
Yeah, it's coming in clear, and thank you for sharing that. And I absolutely do agree with you in terms of us reclaiming our power. I love how you said, there's a lot of masculine energy, fire energy, and we do. And it's kind of funny if you look at nature itself, even here in New Mexico, there's so much fire that everything's burning down. As within, so without. Now, again, it's not about, and I love it, it's not about making the masculine energy wrong. It's about saying that there needs to be a balance. And I think we women reclaiming our power, sexual power, even our sensual power, is really, really critical. And I like the wild reclaiming that wild side of who we are, because there is that wild side that we haven't been able to really express, especially in the Western world. Well, in a lot of the world actually, where women are being suppressed from that sexual energy. And I think partially I haven't really shared on my podcast that that's really what I'm up to. And that's probably what I need to start sharing. And naturally it is true, because that's part of where I'm at in my story. That's probably why I've been silent for you guys, because I'm like, well, what does that even mean for me? So it's perfect timing.
I feel like I like opened up a can of worms. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Well, that's what you
Yeah,
do.
and I think about I don't know. Oh, I don't know if you guys know the book. Like, if the it's called Women Who Run with Wolves.
Oh yeah.
Um, it's an amazing book. Yeah, okay. So she talks a lot about like the wild woman archetype. And I love that book just for all of the stories and like little pieces of wisdom that she has to share. But, I think a lot of us think of like the wild woman archetype as, maybe somebody that doesn't really have control over, herself. And like she's like in the woods and just like, like people have used the term like wild woman as something that's not good or like something that's like not desirable. But like really for me, like what a wild woman is and like what she talks about in that book is like it's just somebody that is like reconnecting with their true nature, or like their authentic nature. And it's like somebody who can't be tamed by other people's opinions or society. Um, and so that's kind of what I really mean when I say that, because I think a lot of people can be like, wild woman, like that sounds kind of scary, or like, I don't really know if that's for me, but it's really like your true essence and like what you want to take from that, right? It's not like it has to look any way. And like that's something that I want to say too, is just like everybody's journey back to like your, reconnecting with who you are is going to look so different. And that journey is going to like, yeah, it's just going to be different than anyone else's. And I think that's something else that we get caught up in too on our journeys, right? It's like, oh, somebody else's looks that way, or like they're this way on their spiritual journey, like they're so far ahead, I'm so far behind, like what does that mean about me? And that's something else, yeah, that I think is like really important, and something that I've learned on my journey is just like, first of all, I feel like it's not linear. And it's
No.
not like about the destination either. I definitely been somebody that's gotten caught up in like, oh my God, when am I going to be at the end? And when am I going to, have it all figured out and never experience like anger or frustration anymore? But what I've really realized is just like, it's about kind of accepting all of those things, and accepting like where I'm at right now, and accepting that like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, doing what I'm supposed to be doing at each moment. And it's like really just like that radical acceptance has helped me to transform and heal like so much. And so that's something that I kind of want to offer to you guys, right? It's just accepting yourself for where you're at, and knowing like I'm trying my best and I'm human, and it's okay to experience all of these things that I'm experiencing, and it's okay to, not be on the same exact journey that somebody else is on. Um, yeah, and that's kind of like something that I wanted to talk about as well. Something that's kind of helped me. Um, yeah, because it's like a day to day kind of thing. Like sometimes you might be feeling like way more connected to who you are, and then like the next day you might feel just like really confused and chaotic. And like, but in that chaos, right? That's where like the transformation and the growth happens. So yeah, I don't know, like the journey is like just like a really beautiful experience, but something that I know for myself, and like something that I really like to teach others, is just like just loving the journey, and just like loving yourself, and just really accepting that, yeah, you're a human and there's nothing wrong with that. And like all of the things that come with that, and just appreciating that we are like consciousness in a human form, right? Like we're getting to like experience being a human, and that's actually pretty magical. I think some of us are like trying to get away from being a human, and I've done that before. I'm like, no way. And I think that causes us to like leave our bodies and become like disconnected from our bodies, and not want to be with our bodies. And so I feel like the more we can accept like our humanness and like our bodies, and like they're really like this vehicle for exploring our world in a new way in our universe, um, then that's, I feel like, when we can become just like more comfortable and like more embodied in who we are, and our true self.
Yeah, I absolutely I like that radical acceptance. I'm gonna start using that. Just radically accept it, all of it, the good, the bad, the ugly, the everything.
Yeah.
And I agree with you in the radical acceptance. And I think people, when they are doing that, accepting themselves, like you said, they'll start to honor their own journey. And that's, part of what I say. Everybody has their own journey, their own practices, their own perceptions. Um, and they get to honor that individually, right? Their journey, and it doesn't need to look like anybody else's. And I think part of the consciousness piece, and this is kind of what I want to change the narrative in some ways, is that I don't believe in consciousness as a linear either. And I don't think there are lines. I think that there's expansions and contractions within consciousness. And I think we expand sometimes and sometimes we contract. And there's certain domains of our lives where we're more maybe evolved, and we're more expanded and others where we're more contracted, and how do we start to honor those, expansions and contractions rather than saying, you know, I'm just below this person, or you're comparing yourself to these levels of individuals where everybody has their own journey and there's own, like, other people have different, the way I see it is they have other ways of expressing their consciousness, and they're more evolved in other parts of their life where some people may not be. And so there's all these different layers. And I think that that needs to be honored as well, right? That there's all these different levels that need to be honored. So, but I love that you said that's true. I don't want to be human a lot of times. It is not easy being human. It is not easy to operate this
I
meat suit.
agree.
Not at all, not even a little bit.
Yeah, that's it. I know. It's really not. I totally get that. And like, especially when I'm in my emotional state, like, or I'm like riding my emotional wave. Um, yeah, I'm just kind of like, oh, being a human is so hard. And like, I think a part of being a human too is like suffering sometimes. And what I really had to learn is just like, sometimes it's just like, we just like, for me specifically, I'm like, I just have to like lean into that discomfort and like that suffering instead of running away from it. And that's really something that I found has been a lot easier to work with when I'm just accepted where I'm at. Like most of the time, I'm like, no, I want to get away from this experience. I don't want to feel this way. I only want to feel good, whatever that means, and like happy and peaceful. Because, you know, when we're younger, we get rewarded for like being happy. Especially, you know, us women, we're like rewarded for just being like the nice girl that does what everybody wants her to do and you know, doesn't talk back or isn't bossy. When she's just like really trying to be a leader. So yeah, it can be, you know, hard to yeah, right? Like it can be hard to you know, tune into like our emotions and like tune into our experience and really just you know, accept where we are and be like, you know what, like even though this isn't exactly like what I thought I would be feeling or like what I wanted to be feeling in this moment, like I can still accept where I'm at right now. And I found like when I'm able to just accept where I'm at and just like accept that wow, I am a human in this experience and maybe I'm feeling like angry right now and that's okay, and maybe I'm feeling bad, then it's like so much easier for me to like move through that and like transmute it rather than like me fighting it. And you know, like everybody says, like what you resist persists. Like
Uh-huh.
everybody says that,
Yes.
but it is true though. Like the more that we resist who we are, like our true selves, it's like we're just like fighting who we are, and that's why there's so much tension within us. Um, and that's why like I just feel like there's like so much tension in our world because it's like our inner worlds reflect our outer world. And you know, we see so many people just like fighting with one another and like not wanting to like see things for how they are and just like so much chaos in the world. And I could go off on another tangent with that, but I just feel like it's like, you know, healing really starts with our each and every one of us in like our inner worlds. And the more that we're denying who we really are and we're not accepting ourselves, like we're not going to be able to accept each other, and we're not going to be able to accept like our reality. And it's just, I just see it really coming from like the source or like the roots of who we are. Like that's why this is really my passion, is like helping others to like reclaim their true selves and like really accept yourself, because the more like you accept and you love yourself and you honor yourself, the more you're going to be able to do that for other people.
Yeah.
And you know, I feel like when we're really able to do that, you know, we can have like these amazing conversations where, you know, maybe we can actually sit down with people that we once disliked
Uh.
or, you know, even hated and listen to their perspective or like have empathy for them or be able to like hear a different side of the story. And when we're able to do that, like I just feel like healing and, you know, being able to just look at different perspectives and maybe solve some of these problems that are going on in this wild and crazy world, it will be a little bit more accessible. Because right now, I feel like we're just going around in so many circles, and nobody, you know. I think I talked with I saw you were watching Pam, but I think Pam and I, we kind of talked about this. It's just like nobody wants to go to really like the roots of any of the issues. It's just like people want to go to the surface, and I think it's because we're not willing to individually like look at our shadows, and so collectively we're not willing to look at like our shadows or the things that we don't like about ourselves as well.
Yeah, it's
So,
like
I think I'm really going back to self love here again. Oh, I'll just put up. But yeah, like just self love again. Self love and acceptance, super important.
super important and super not easy to do either. It becomes a journey and it's really takes a lot of courage, strength, right? And will to do it. And it is scary, but I feel that like the whole pandemic, everything we've been through in these past couple of years has sort of illuminated the shadow, right? It's kind of put a light in the shadow areas where it's like, well, you're going to have to look at it regardless. And I always said it's a spiritual, kind of a spiritual battle that we get to sort of look at that and peel back the layers and look at ourselves and understand who we are and what we want and what we desire and how we are going to move forward. Um, what I do see happening and what I do love, and hi Pam, I'm glad she's on here, is that women, I feel, and I know we're all working with women, but I feel that us women are the ones we're the true healers right now of this narrative because we've been silenced for too long. We've been or they're still trying to force us into their agendas, trying to tell us what to do with our bodies, trying to say what they think is right for us. We know what's right for us. It's our body, it's our experience, and I think women, um, I think there's a fear of women reclaiming their power. I think there's a fear of what would happen if we were to actually band together. And I see that starting to happen, which is such a beautiful, to me, it's such a beautiful thing where I see these powerful women and we're coming together and we're looking at our worth. We really are doing a deep dive. We do have a lot of individuals, especially in our program, where we see all women, mostly, mostly. Let's just say that
Mhm.
98% of the people in our course is they're women. We're looking at ourselves and we're saying, how do we love ourselves? And what I love is that none of us feel like we're competing with each other. We're actually loving each
Mm,
other and we're recognizing the gifts that we all bring and that we don't your gifts are different from my gifts and but we all bring it together and we're sort of banding together again. We used to have these great they called them covens, right? They called us witches, whatever they called us our whole life. And they made us wrong for having that sisterhood, that deep sisterhood, that collaborative effort of self-love and self-care and that wild woman and the warrior woman and whatever it is that came out. But I see it starting to sort of come together. I see that us women, like there's Pam's been on here, you, Jacqueline, all of these individuals within our, even Lucy, all of these women. And I think we just honor each other's gifts, but it's because we're working on our own self-love. Like that's the big thing is you love yourself. And when you love yourself, you don't feel threatened by other people, but they've banned us against each other, right? To be jealous of each other, to be hurtful to one another, to fight over, I don't even know, fight over what. We're like sisters, and if we come together and collaborate and communicate and love each other and nurture each other, I mean, I just feel like we can cultivate a space of healing. I don't know that everything's gonna get healed, but at least we can
mhm.
hold that vessel of healing, together. And that's kind of what I want to create, and I know that's what you want to create, and I know that's what Pam wants to create, and I think it's awesome that you're doing this work. And I love your perspective, right? Some of the things like lean into it, like some of the words that your language is a little different than mine. Lean into it or be radically, accepting of it and stuff like that. And I think that that's beautiful. That's why I want other people to get on here and talk because my language is different from yours. The way that I articulate or the way I talk about it, right? So give other perspectives. Um, so
Mm-hmm.
so what is next for you in turn? I know you have your business and you're growing that. What is next for you? You're going to get your masters, and then what do you potentially see coming from all of this? What is like your not end game, but what is it that you wanted to
Yeah.
blossom into?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for asking me that, and thank you for your reflections as well. I love what you said about like the light got in from COVID, and I feel like it's really when the light gets in that we can like heal that wound too.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I love that. So what's next for me? Yeah, so I started my business this past September, and I do my one-on-one coaching programs, and then I do my group coaching program, which I'm starting this July. So July 12th, I start that, and I'm really excited because I'm opening it up for women, right? So you were saying like groups of women. To
Uh-huh.
me, it's just like this sacred circle of a bunch of amazing women, and the cool thing is like I'm facilitating it, but I really like to advocate for like circular leadership. So it's like everybody has very unique perspective, and like everybody, has the opportunity to like weigh in on like what somebody is saying, and like share their wisdom instead of it being like a top down thing where like I'm in charge and like I'm the only one that can share, right? It's like everybody gets that experience. And I think that's really cool, right? Because that is another example of right giving the power back to people and really showing women that we are creative and capable. Um, and so yeah, I'm gonna keep doing that. And I really feel like I see myself, just kind of going more into like group coaching because I really do love like holding space for groups. That's just kind of something that calls to me. But I have my business, and like I don't really see my business as like just this like a business, right? I see it as like another living entity. So like we talk, and like she shares wisdom with me, and so I have my own plans, but at the same time, it's kind of like she'll also tell me, "Oh, this is what we could do next. I have this idea, right?" So, for me, I would love to write a book at some point in time about the wild woman. And I would love to hold retreats, especially like self love retreats. That's been something I've always wanted to do. And I love connecting with people in person too. So, a lot of the offerings I do right now are online. And so, I'd love to be able to like have, more of like an in person space, just because I love the feel of the in-person energy. I think online is great because you can just communicate and connect with so many people, but it is a different energy for me. So yeah, I kind of see that for myself. And then I'm gonna be starting to do human design readings. So I've been like obsessed with human design lately. If anybody knows what that is, and I kind of want to do some coaching around that as well because human design has really helped to like liberate and empower me to really trust myself and my instincts. And so, of course, I want to share that with others and help them to do the same. I have my podcast as well, and Natalie, I think we've talked about this, but I'd love to have you on as a guest. So
Sure.
I want to keep going with that, see where that goes,
Sure.
and then who knows? I'm coming up to my Saturn return soon in my life, so who knows if that will like blow me out of the water. But I think I want to do some traveling with that, and just kind of be open and see what's next.
I love that. Yeah, I think that, and something that the retreat thing, all that stuff, there's potential for collaboration. I know it. It becomes a challenge, but
Mm-hmm.
absolutely love that you have all modalities to work with individuals, right? You're willing to just be flexible and open and work with individuals in many ways. And so, but I do feel, um, I mean, we're in this really challenging time. We all know that, but I do have hope for our species, um, because of our program and because of the people that are willing to do this work and willing to invite people into the space. And I think that, one thing that I love about all of us that I know holds true and which I love, and this is why I know things are shifting, is that we are not trying to tell people how to be or what to be. We're trying to lead people to their own self, right? To lead them back home, which is to themselves. Lead them home to themselves. And I think that I've said it many times on my podcast since I've started. Don't listen to me. I don't know anything. You know you better than you. And that internal voice, it's trusting, right? Being able to trust the internal voice, being able to trust yourself with what you're going to do next or what that voice is telling you to do. um Teaching people to trust themselves, to love themselves, to nurture themselves, to wholeheartedly accept themselves. So, I think that that's beautiful, and that's why I can see the shift is taking shape, because it is not about us coming in here and saying, "Oh, I have the perfect way." No, I don't have the perfect way. You have the perfect way, but I can remind you that you do, and I can support you, and then lead up to the practices that work for those individuals. And I think we're all in some form and fashion. That's how we are supporting these individuals. And that's what I love, because I refuse to follow people who say this is the only way. It's not true. There's many ways. And my way is going to look different than your way or Pam's way or anybody's way or Drea Christ who's on here. God bless you as well. Good morning to you. So we all have our own way. And a lot of what I was talking about, I think before you were on here, was, looking at James Hillman, which I think I'm starting to lean into his work more than anybody's. I kind of like the way I don't know, there's something about his work that feels, me, I'm always a fighter. I'm like, I don't agree with any of it. The way I am. I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I agree with his model.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nah, I don't.
Yeah,
This
I love that about you, Natalie.
I
Like
go
you would
BS.
always do that, like in the comments section in our program. You would always be like, I actually don't like what this person said, and that actually really inspired me because I was like, I feel like at that time I wasn't really thinking for myself. I was just like, okay, I like what this person has to say, but I didn't really think about, oh, maybe I actually don't align with that. But you would always come into the comments and be like, no, I did not align with that at all. Like, I think this way. And I'm like, oh my God, I love that. Like, go Natalie. So you've inspired me so much, honestly, doing that. So thank you.
You're welcome. I've always been, I'm the wild woman. I don't, you know what I mean? I'm like, no, that's not it. And there's a lot of reason why I can say this is why, but I think James Hillman, honestly, there's a couple of people that I do kind of follow and do agree with on their works, but still feel like it's not 100%. I mean, you can't 100% map out consciousness because it's going to be different within each individual, right? And so it's really hard to say, well, this is it. And that's what makes it so dynamic and really hard for the sciences to peg down consciousness in general, because your map is going to be different than mine, is going to be different than Pam's, is going to be different than the people on here. When they map out their soul's code, it's going to look different for everybody, because we all have our own unique journey. Makes it really difficult. But when we are teaching individuals, this is the way, da 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 da, I get frustrated because I'm like, no, I don't agree. It doesn't align. And that's that. It just doesn't. And but there are pieces that align. And I think that James Hillman, with the acorn theory, is kind of what I'm looking into, because I sort of agree that it aligns more specifically with alchemy, which is what this podcast is, spiritual alchemy, right? Where we're looking at natural law and the evolution, or the I don't want to say the evolution, the expansion of nature and how it operates, right? So we have like living systems, I think, with the acorn theory, and I think those two together could give us a um a more holistic approach to how to approach our life. So it's just, to me, I mean, it's like we have the potential within us. It's always been there. And where do we find it and how do we tap into it? And I think that, like, all of us doing this work are, it's really, it's it's very awe-inspiring, right? And it's beautiful, and it's amazing to see so many beautiful women who are being courageous and giving and dedicating their life to this work. I mean, it's a powerful thing, really, honestly. And I think the more that us women do this, more women are going to jump on board, and it's not going to be a competition.
Mhm.
It's going to be a sisterhood, right? And that's what's missing right now. The sisterhood is really missing.
Mhm. Mhm.
We, our connection, our heart, you know what I mean? There's no competition. It's a collaborative of effort. It's a collaborative effort, and it's going to take, you've heard it in our classes, it's going to take a whole lot of us. It's not just a one person thing. This is a job for like, uh, 80%, 70, or what is the percentage? It takes about 60% or something. About 60% of the population needs to get on board so that we can start to move over. We need to spread. Spread out.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just,
Yeah. Yeah, and I do see it spreading definitely.
yeah.
I think it just takes time, you know. Um, but like even what you were saying too, I even see that with as I've started to like really come into my truth and authenticity and like share my work and my passions, because at one point in time I was like afraid to do so because I thought I was going to be labeled like the outcast. Um, and I was kind of like the black sheep of my family or my community. And I feel like it's this wound with a lot of us, right? Like maybe in past lives we were like burned at the stake, or we were told to like close our mouths, or like we just suffered in some way, and it's like this big wound that I think a lot of us carry in this life now. It's
Mhm.
like you believe reincarnation and all of that, which I do, but I definitely feel like it's like a wound that I have and like a lot of women have, and we women have also just suffered a lot over like so many years, and so there's just a big wound. But like you were saying, like with where there's the wound, there's healing, and so like that's why I really feel like we women have been there. We're like in the wound, and we can see like the darkness, which I think is great, and we can kind of transmute that and like welcome it in and like heal that darkness. And when we start to do that individually, it affects so many people. And then it's just like, because like we're all connected. That's how I see it, right? It's just like one sort of like consciousness or like universal truth in multiple, I guess, people, or like we believe that we're separate, right? It's
Right.
like the illusion of being separate. Um, and as I started to like open up and do my work, I've had so many people reach out to me and just be like, "Oh my gosh, I love what you have to share. Like, I feel the same way." And like, it's just been really cool and really liberating, because it's like it's a lot of women, right, reaching out, but there's also men, and so I see some men too being like, I'm really interested in this too, or like, how can I kind of like start on the path of where you're going.
Yes.
Um, and it's just like people like that I never even thought would ever, I don't know, be like interested in like this sort of thing. So it's really cool because I see it, right? It's like slowly kind of like awakening in each person. And I think as we continue to do the work and even be more vocal about who we are, like truly, and just share, our unique passions, like even what we're doing now, right? Like we're putting it out there into the universe, and even if people don't accept it or understand it right away, like I feel like it still in a way affects them, and maybe later on they might wake up to it and be like, whoa, this is me. And so, right, that's like so interesting to think about. Like, even if we don't think anybody's listening, or like they don't really hear what we have to say, it's like, in a way, I feel like subconsciously they do. And there might be that small part of them that's within that is like, oh my gosh, yes, this is me. And is slowly starting the process of like awakening.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, we're planting those seeds.
yeah,
Yeah, see, Pam, that's
it's really
exactly,
cool.
That's exactly what I was gonna say, we're planting seeds, see? Pam just took it right out of my mouth. Yes, we're planting seeds and, they hopefully people will water them and grow them and cultivate them, and I do see that when we heal that men will come on board, and that's part of it is that nobody gets left behind. This is not a gender thing. This is not a man versus woman. People hear masculine and feminine, they take it all wrong, so it's educating them about what does that even mean. We all hold that potential within us, the masculine and feminine. But right now, the world, I believe, is seeking that sacred feminine, that kindness, that gentleness, that sensuality, that reconnection to intimacy, the love, the care. We're all talking about war and this and that, and I'm like, where's the love and the care and the sensuality and the pleasure and the beauty and the kindness and the grace and all these things that are
Mhm.
that and I'm reconnecting to myself, which is a big thing. And thank you for that.
Mhm.
I think through this conversation, because I've been really kind of out of spirit and coffee. I've kind of been back and forth, and for 4 years I've done it consistently, like every single day, Monday through Friday, right? And then all of a sudden the pandemic happened. I was doing it and then I just stopped. And it's because I myself am in this whirlwind of crazy where I'm going, well, who really am I? Again, it's again and again and again. It's a never ending thing where I'm starting to reconnect to that sensuality, and that peace is not 100% always accepted by society, and it's shamed and all that kind of stuff. And so I think that I've been trying to figure it out for myself, and I'm working with the energy right now, right? The energy itself, and I'm trying to figure it. You read all my stuff. You read all my papers in human development, so you know what I'm talking about. And it's really tapping into that, and
Yeah.
then being able to talk about it, and I'm getting better at articulating, at communicating, at um being being in love with an individual and telling them that I love them, and not caring if they love me back or not, but being able to express it and feel good about being able to express my love just unapologetically, and just this is what it is, and here it is, and here I am, and that's that. And it doesn't matter because I love myself so much. It doesn't matter if it's not reciprocated, right, by anybody. But understanding that love, and understanding how to nurture and myself, and take time out for myself and love myself, and take breaks when I need to, and all these things I've never done, that it's this new territory, but we're in life are doing that. We're just constantly like drill sergeants. Do this, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. There's more and
Mhm.
more and more and more. And where's the grace? Where's the pause? Where's the nurturing? Where's
Mhm.
the caring? Where's the sensuality? And if people aren't giving that to you, give it to yourself. But I'm learning to give it to myself. And now, in response to that, I'm able to give it to others in a way that I never have, which is pretty powerful. It's powerful because it's healing, and these men, they're not connect, they're even more far removed from that than women are. And that's a sad thing, and I think if these men, I just think, man, if we went and hugged, and people would be like, "Ah," but if we went, okay, I'm gonna put it out there. If we went and we just, like, gave President Trump this big old hug and broke him down to his essence, you know, he probably wouldn't be such a jerk. I'm not saying that it would take,
Mhm.
but it would take a lot of nurturing and care, but I'm sure he's so far removed from that, that to him it's not even a thing, but he's dying. He doesn't even realize he's dying inside. You could tell. Look at him. He doesn't look healthy. He just doesn't, right? But
Mhm.
we see these men that are just far removed from it. And for me, that's where my grace comes in. That's where my forgiveness, my compassion, and all that comes in, because I'm like, wow, they don't know what it's like. They don't understand what it's like to actually be sensual, and to have grace, and to have kindness, and that's just not there, because they wouldn't behave that way if they did. There's no way. That's not
Mhm.
the result.
Mm.
that's yielded from that energy, so I just think it's awesome. I think thank you for just putting it out there. It's timely. So now that's what I'll be talking about, right? Is that sexuality, sensuality, what does it mean to people?
Mm.
I'm like, okay,
Yay! Yeah, I love that.
okay, podcast people.
I'm glad I brought that in then.
Yes, of course, always. And what I'm thinking, which would be really kind of cool, actually, and maybe if since Pat's on here, is maybe I can record a Zoom podcast and put it out there. Um, I was thinking about doing that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think there's an evolution that needs to happen with Spirit and Coffee for sure. It needs to grow in a different way. Um, but I would love to do that, talk about that sensuality, sexuality, bringing in the different perspectives and talking about what does it mean to reconnect to that pleasure for women that we are not able to talk about. I mean, now we have like there's a Netflix show called Principles of Pleasure. They're trying to map out what women like we get to reclaim that sexual power like that's been taken from us, and it's important
Oh yeah.
and it's needed
Mm-hmm.
so much. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so needed, yeah. And too, like I feel like, pleasure, it's like it's pretty much like everything, right? To me, like our sexual energy or like it's like that sacred energy is just like our vitality. It's like our life force energy. It's our creativity. And so like when we don't have that, it's just like we're drained of that life force and we're like not connected to just like really all of life, I feel like, and so like that's how I really see it. And it's just like connecting to what brings us pleasure like every single day. And that could look so differently, right? It could obviously look like pleasure, sexual pleasure. But it could also just look like, reading a book or like eating a piece of chocolate or like going to the ocean, like just, tapping into that pleasure. And as well as like tapping into our joy. Like that's something that I feel like they go hand in hand. And I've been really trying to like lean into that too because kind of like you, Natalie, I feel like I've always been more of like a drill sergeant and somebody who's just like really, really disciplined and like in more of my masculine and like, no, we don't have time for rest. We don't have time for like relaxation. And I really feel like that's with the feminine. She's like honoring her creativity. She's just like taking her time. She's going with the cycles of her life and connecting with the cycles of the natural world. And sometimes that means that we're in that rest period of winter. But like our society is so focused on production and like always in that action like summer phase that we never get to experience our winter. But there's truly beauty and just with winter also comes reflection, and that's also a time where I feel like we can explore different dimensions of us when we're really tapping into that pleasure and that joy, and like we enjoy our lives so much more. I feel like I don't think we are just created or like put on this earth to just be producing and just going all the time. Like we're meant to just enjoy who we are and enjoy the magic in every single moment and give ourselves that grace, like you were saying. And I definitely agree with what you were saying about, men in our lives. And there's this amazing documentary. It's like called The Mask You Wear. And it's about how men are raised. And, they're raised not to be able to show really any emotion and everything's like a competition. And you've got to you see competition with women too, but you have to be tough. And
yeah.
so for them, it's almost like putting up that wall. And I do see this breaking down a little bit, but I even see this with some of the men in my life. Like they're just so closed off from like who they actually are. And like to me, it's just, I felt like this within me, like I've been closed off from like my emotions, my truth, because I felt bad about this part of myself. And I just, the experience isn't as rich. It's just like you're not your full self. And so, my heart goes out for men like that, right? Because they're just suffering like the rest of us.
Big time.
And like you were saying too, if we just like gave them a hug, like you're saying with Trump, and like got him down to his true essence, yeah, like I guarantee he would not be like he is.
No.
right now. Like I really guarantee that like his true essence isn't what he projects to the world
No.
at all. And so yeah, you can just see that with so many of our world leaders too, just like the hurt that is going on in our world.
Yeah, it's taken over. And I think it's important that we don't leave the men behind and that we honor and love them and show them love that they've never felt before. That's kind of where I'm at. Unconditional love, and let them know and let them reclaim that and let them feel it, and that's why I'm like, I'm just going to be unapologetically saying it and feeling it and whatever. And for the receiving end, for them to receive it being something that maybe they've never experienced before. So I think it's critical. I think it's important, and it's a practice, and it's vulnerable, but it's also because I know who I am and I love myself enough. It doesn't matter if it's received or not received, but in some form, it's going to be received.
Mm.
There's some change that's happening regardless. And that's how I feel about it. So, pretty powerful stuff. So, we have to conclude. I've been on here for quite. I used to be on here. We're like, well, it's because we got off to a rocky start, but I think you had a good run. We could do it
Yeah, we
again.
did.
Yeah, and then, Pam, you're always welcome. Like, we can do impromptus. We can do a threesome. We do a threesome on here. Where I think Pam could be added on
Oh
here
yeah.
sometime too, if you ever want to. We can all come on together and do a live. We could do it on Instagram. We don't have to just do it on here. I'm open for whatever, actually. I love you guys very much. I'm very um proud, and just honor you for all that you are and all the work that you're doing. And if you just want to tell people where they can find you, and then we will end. So you can find Riley at
So you can find me on Instagram. It's at Riley underscore Wild Woman Healing. And then you can find me on Facebook, either Riley Hedberg or Wild Woman Healing. And then I also have a website with all of my offerings, and you can connect with me there, which is wildwomanhealing.life. Life, Life.
Okay, wildwomanhealing.life. You can find Riley there. And she does a bunch of different
Yes.
things, and you can go see what she has to offer. So thank you, Riley, for showing
Yes, I
up.
do.
I'm glad you finally were able to get on here. And we will have you on again, of course,
Me
because that
too.
would be great. Pam, you're always welcome. We're welcome to do whatever. This is has no structure. This is just go with the flow. And whatever comes out comes out.
I love it. I love the I
So,
love the authenticity. I
yeah.
think it's amazing. It's beautiful.
I know.
And thank you for having me, Natalie. It's been so fun.
Yay, I'm glad you
This has been
came.
awesome. I
You're
had such a great time.
welcome. You guys have a
Yeah,
fantastical,
me too.
magical, magnificent, marvelous, miraculous, meaningful Monday. And of course, I will be seeing you tomorrow. I guess I'll be talking about sexual energy tomorrow. So there you go. Yay for me.
Yay! Woohoo! Oh, I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I'll see you guys. Have a good day. Bye bye.